And while we are on the subject of La Liga, let's talk about players that we do see feature there, as we have been doing. Kylian Mbappe leaving the French national team to return to Real Madrid for scans on his injured ankle. What's the latest on his injury update, Jules?
It's interesting because I'm not sure the scans have actually happened. It seems we had the conflicted report. On one hand, the French Federation and the French team telling us that he was going back to Madrid. That we know. He's now in Azerbaijan with the French who are playing there tomorrow, and that he was going back because the ankle was still a bit swollen and hurting him a little bit, that they would do scans on Friday. Then Real Madrid were like, what scans? So I'm not sure the scans actually happened, but I think overall the bigger picture is that I don't think anybody really wanted him to travel to Azerbaijan. I don't think he probably wanted to go. Certainly not Real Madrid. For Deschamps, I think if there's one player that you can maybe give an exemption to, it could be him. Whether the ankle is really damaged or not, whether it's still hurting him or not, I would want to believe that that's the truth. Why would they say so if it was not the case? But I think he would be fine for the game so next weekend, basically, when the La Liga returns. We just saw the fixture list there. And I think there's no worries to have, really. I think if that game had been in Paris, for example, or maybe closer than Azerbaijan, or maybe if there had been still something to play for France, if they hadn't qualified already, he probably would have stayed with the squads. But I think in the end, everybody was kind of happy with the fact that he could go home.
Yeah, it is another name on the injury list for Real Madrid right now. Not all of them are too serious, and obviously everybody at Real Madrid will be hoping that that is the case with Kylian Mbappe as well. But this is how things are looking right now, and as they do return to action, Jules, we know that they have 2 games without a win behind them.
Yeah, I mean, this is a long injury list when you think that we're only in November. That's a lot of players, some obviously in key positions as well, like Kylian, of course, because Xabi Alonso will have to find if Kylian can play. But again, I think he will play against Elche. But if he could not play, have to find a different option there in that number 9 spot. Camavinga in that midfield, I think you look at Valverde more importantly, and that right back position, Carvajal is also missing. There's Trent who's on the bench, but clearly Xabi Alonso doesn't fancy him that much or doesn't trust him that much because Valverde has been playing there even when Trent was back from injury. So now Trent is not the only option because we saw Eder Militao playing at right back with Brazil today against Senegal in London. So we will have to see, but that's a long list of injuries for Xabi Alonso for sure.
There's been a few concerns for Xabi Alonso in this aspect, particularly Kylian Mbappe not scoring in those past 2 games either for Real Madrid because he's been such a crucial part for them this season.
If I'm Xabi Alonso, I'm not concerned about Kylian Mbappe, and I'm not concerned with this ankle situation. This has all the markings of... are we done here? Did we qualify? Is the job done here? Coach, see you, but I'll see you. Take care. We talk before Christmas? Yeah, all right. Merry Christmas. If I don't see you, Merry Christmas, all right? Say hi to the family for me. He wasn't sticking around, and the ankle became a very convenient reason. So I'm not concerned about Kylian Mbappe. I am, however, concerned about Fede Valverde. And I'll tell you how concerned I am. So concerned that in our graphic, for an injury, we just said muscle. The muscle. Some sort of muscle.
Muscular.
Yeah, it's a muscular injury, as general as it can be. But if indeed this is an issue for Fede Valverde, it's an issue not only for Xabi Alonso, but it's an issue for all of Real Madrid. Because you have in Fede Valverde a guy that covers a lot of ground in many different positions. And so you could do with Camavinga being injured. You could do with other players being injured. With Valverde injured, it's a problem. Because he is more than just one position and more than just one hole.
Kylian Mbappe has been asked about some of the reported unrest behind the scenes at Real Madrid, and this is what he had to say about some of the talk of what's going on. He said, "What do you want me to say? I have nothing to say. In the end, we're top of La Liga and among the top 8 in the Champions League. It's not perfect, but we all know that when things aren't working on the pitch, people talk and talk. But we are united to win every title this year." Jules, we hear that players aren't happy behind the scenes at Real Madrid right now. Not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah, some of them are. I mean, Kylian is happy, obviously. This has become his team and he's been outstanding since the start of the season. I think he's 20 games for club and country and he's on 24 goals and 4 assists, something like that. So it's been an incredible start of the year if you compare to a year ago when he was hitting rock bottom. If you repeat his own words, it's a very, very different picture that we have now. So he's happy. There are, as we know, some players in that dressing room were not too happy because of the game time, because of probably the methods of Xabi Alonso as a coach, which again we've explained a few times on the show. This is not new. We saw that by Leverkusen. Some players missing because some players were leaving Bayer Leverkusen because they just didn't get on and they just could not work with him. So there's probably a bit of that. He's a strict manager. He can be cold at times, and maybe some players don't react well to this. There's also players who right now maybe don't have the status that they used to have under Carlo Ancelotti last season. If you think about Jude Bellingham, if you think of Vinicius Junior, for example, who again in the Rayo Vallecano game seems to be quite unhappy with some of the decisions that Xabi Alonso took, again, not long after what happened previously for him. So in the Clásico. So there's probably a bit of discontent in some quarters, but as long as they're winning, even if they're not playing great, as long as they're still top of La Liga and very much in contention in the Champions League, I think that will probably paper over the cracks. The problem will be the day they stop winning.
Yeah, we are definitely going to touch on Vinny Jr. in this show today, but I just want to talk to you about this report of the players that are unhappy. Is that a problem at Real Madrid, if it's true?
Potentially, yes. Because given we're talking about Vinicius Jr. and his importance to this Real Madrid side, and continues to not just be unhappy, but on the face of it, grow unhappier. And that's a concern, especially given how narrow those margins are in La Liga between them and Barcelona, in the Champions League, especially once you go deeper in the competition. To have a player of Vinny's quality, of Vinny standing within that dressing room, to be as unhappy as he seems to be right now, that continues, that escalates. It becomes a major issue for Xabi Alonso and Real Madrid. I'm not sure how you kind of get this back together, how Xabi Alonso gets this under control, because in such a short space of time, I don't think anybody expected it to escalate to the point that it is. I'm not sure how it resolves itself unless somebody like Kylian Mbappe takes a big leadership role within this dressing room and somehow gets that dust to settle.
I know, or we know that Vini is not happy, but who are these other 4 players? Report. It doesn't get any more vague that 5 Real Madrid players unhappy with Xabi Alonso. Okay. So a new manager comes in. You don't get the same treatment, freedom, or liberties that you had under the old manager, in this case, Carlo Ancelotti. This guy is demanding a little bit more from you or something different from you. You don't quite like it. And now you are, quote unquote, unhappy. That is reality for every team that changes managers. The new one comes in, has a different viewpoint, has a different work methodology, decides to go in a different direction. That direction doesn't put you as a priority. You feel aggrieved. You feel like, wait a minute, but we were winning with me on the field. What are you going to do without me? Well, we're going to keep winning, but with somebody else. Yeah, that doesn't make you happy. Again, this is as vague a report as you can have. And yes, there are going to be unhappy players. That is the case for every team out there in the world playing at a high level when a new manager comes in.
Yeah, we know a few of the names that have been reported, Jules. Obviously, it's saying 5 here. There's Bellingham's been mentioned. We've seen the fact that Fede Valverde's been mentioned. Any other names that have been mentioned?
There's been a few. Rodrigo is obviously not happy. I think Brahim Diaz is not happy either because of the game time that has disappeared for them. Valverde playing at right back. I think he's very happy to help the team as the club captain. But we know that's not the position he would rather play. So if Trent is available and yet it's still him playing right back, he's not going to be too happy with that. He's going to do the job, of course, and he's such an amazing servant to the club. But that probably creates a bit of frustration in him, like the others who would like to play more and are just not giving their chance, for example. So I think, like Ali said, it's inevitable. Every team, every level, not even just the pros, at every level, you're not happy if your manager doesn't play you enough or if he plays you out of position or not where you would rather play in the first place. I think this is inevitable, and I think that's why Xabi Alonso is not too bothered, to be fair, by it. All he thinks of is collective structure, improving this team in possession, out of possession. There's been some changes and improvements compared to last season. We've seen that it's far from perfect, like Kylian was saying earlier, and like we've seen in games where they were easily beaten like away at Liverpool recently in the Champions League, for example. So there's still a lot of work to do, and I don't think he can spend too much time focusing on who's happy, who's not happy, who is kind of happy but kind of unhappy, 50-50, 60-40. There's no time for him to do that. So just focus on the next game and try to improve this team collectively.